The sun scorched the red dirt of Dry Creek, a lonesome speck of a town nestled in the heart of the Wild West. Horses sweated under the noonday heat. Children chased tumbleweeds. And a girl no older than 14 struggled in the shadows of the livery stable, her fingers blackened with axle grease and her dress torn at the hem. Her name was Clara May, but no one in town cared to remember it. They just called her the Orphan, the girl whose parents had died in a prairie fire 2 winters ago. Since then, she'd worked odd jobs, sweeping saloons, cleaning stables, fixing wagons, for a slice of bread and a drink of water. On this particular afternoon, Clara May was tightening a wheel bolt on an expensive wagon outside the general store when a tall figure dismounted from a pure black stallion. "Need a hand with that." The voice was deep, gravelly, and surprisingly gentle. Clara glanced up, squinting. The man was dressed in all black, his boots polished, his wide-brimmed hat casting a shadow over his sharp jaw and piercing green eyes. Everyone in Dry Creek knew him. Wesley Holt, the richest cattle baron in 3 counties. Widowed, quiet, a legend in his own right. "No, sir," Clara May said quickly, returning to the bolt. "Just needs a little tightening." But he didn't move. Instead, Wesley stepped closer, watching her work. "You've done this before." Clara wiped her brow with a dirty sleeve. "More than once. Some folks don't like paying blacksmiths. I'm cheaper." Wesley tilted his head. "Where'd you learn wagon work?" "My pa taught me," she said softly, her fingers slowing on the wrench. "Before the fire." There was a long pause. Then his voice dropped low. "You've got grit." Clara looked up again, and that's when he saw it. A ring, too large for her finger, tied with string to keep from falling off. A thick, golden band, clearly a man's wedding ring. Wesley's eyes narrowed. "Where'd you get that?" She looked down at the ring, suddenly protective. "It's mine." "It's a man's ring." Her jaw tightened. "It's still mine." He stared at her a long while, then gave a slow nod. "All right." And just like that, he helped her lift the wagon wheel. Chapter 2, Secrets in the Dust. That evening, Clara May sat behind the stables, brushing sawdust from her skirts when a shadow fell over her. It was Wesley again. He handed her a sandwich wrapped in cloth. "I reckon you didn't eat today." She looked up suspiciously. "I'm fine." "Girl your size ought to eat more than air and pride." Reluctantly, Clara took it. "Thank you." He sat beside her, both of them quiet as the wind stirred the prairie. "You fix my wagon better than most hired men," he said. "That worth more than a sandwich." Clara shrugged. "Ain't looking for charity." "I'm not off-air in charity," he replied. "I'm off-air in a job." Her eyes widened. "Got a ranch 10 miles out," he continued. "Need someone to help with repairs. Not many trust the hands I got. But I saw you today. You've got fire in you." Clara hesitated. "I'd be trouble. Folks don't like me much." "I don't care what folks like." She studied him, her gaze drifting to the holster at his hip, then to the scar that ran down the side of his neck. A man like him had seen things. Lost things. She understood that kind of silence. "I'll think on it," she said softly. Chapter 3, The Ring Story. The next morning, Clara rode with Wesley to his ranch. The Holt spread, a wide expanse of land that touched the distant hills and kissed the sky. Barns, cattle, and windmills scattered like toys on a child's floor. She worked hard, fixed a gate, repaired a water trough, organized old tools in the dusty barn. Wesley watched from a distance, his green eyes always unreadable. That night, they sat on the porch. "I can't help but ask," he said finally. "That ring, who did it belong to?" Clara stiffened. "My brother," she whispered. "Micah." "Older." She nodded. 16. We ran when the fire took everything. He promised we'd make it. Said we'd be fine. Her voice broke. But he died. Fever. 3 weeks later. Wesley looked away, jaw clenched. You wait for him. It's all I have left. He said nothing, only reached into his pocket and handed her a folded cloth. Inside was a leather tool belt, stitched carefully and perfectly her size. You're hired, he said quietly. You'll have room, food, and fair pay. Her eyes filled with tears she didn't want him to see. Chapter 4. The Storm Breaks. For the next 3 months, Clara worked the ranch like it was her own. She patched fences, wrangled calves, and fixed everything from wheelbarrows to lanterns. The ranch hands, men twice her age, started calling her boss girl. Wesley, though stoic, began to change. He spoke more, laughed once, gave her a horse of her own, a spotted mare named Maple. Still, there were whispers. A banker rode out one afternoon, warning Wesley that men from his late wife's family were petitioning for control of his land, claiming he was unfit, a man grieving too long, trusting orphans and ghosts. They want my ranch, he told Clara one night. Think I'm broken. You're not, she said fiercely. You're the strongest man I've ever known. He smiled, just barely. So are you. But danger was coming, and it rode in fast. One evening, Wesley returned with a bullet wound to the side, collapsing at the barn steps. They tried to ambush me, he gasped. Hired guns, from a family, want to scare me off. Clara dragged him into the house, stitched him by lantern light, trembling with fury and fear. You ain't din, she whispered fiercely. You don't get to leave like my brother did. His hand reached for hers. You're my family now. Chapter 5. Redemption in Blood. At dawn, 5 riders thundered toward the ranch, men in black coats, rifles gleaming. Clara saw them from the window. Her blood turned cold. She didn't run. Instead, she saddled Maple, grabbed Wesley's rifle, and rode out to meet them at the gate. You're just a girl, one laughed. She's my girl, came a voice behind her. Wesley, pale, wounded, stood with a shotgun across his chest. Clara stood tall. You're not taking this land. The lead man smirked. You got no kin, no law. What's stopping us? Wesley lifted the shotgun. She's my daughter, he said calmly, by choice. And if you step foot past that fence, I'll bury you here. The standoff lasted seconds but felt eternal. In the end, the men turned. They weren't ready to die for lies. When the dust settled, Clara turned to Wesley. You called me your daughter. I meant it, he rasped, and she threw her arms around him, sobbing into his chest. Chapter 6. A New Beginning. 6 months passed. Clara's hands grew stronger. Her eyes shone brighter. She wore boots now, a pistol on her hip, and Wesley's name on official papers, adopted by the man who once thought himself too broken for love. One Sunday morning, Wesley handed her a small box. Inside was a delicate silver ring. Not gold, not tied with string. It fit her perfectly. It's not to replace your brother's, he said, voice thick. Just to remind you, you'll never be alone again. Clara wept, not for sorrow, but for healing. Epilogue. In the years to come, the Holt Ranch became a legend across the frontier, not because of cattle or wealth, but because of the story behind it, of an orphan girl who wore a ring for the brother she lost, of a wounded man who found family in the most unexpected place, of loyalty, danger, redemption, and the kind of love that chooses you even when the world does not.